Mobile.
Hello.
Hey there.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you happen to be watching this.
That's right. Or listening, if it's podcast only.
Ooh.
Yeah, if you're doing video, if you're doing audio, depends.
We're glad you're here.
Yeah, we're so excited you're here. We're coming to you live shortly. We're going to be talking to Wilmer Hall today, but we'll get to that in just a second. Sit back, relax. We'll be right back with you. Just makes your shoulders want to move. Doesn't it?
Yeah,
doesn't it? Just makes your shoulders want to move.
Yeah.
Little ditty there. All right, guys, welcome to the show. We're glad you're here. We're Brooks and Mandy Conkle with the Mobile Rundown. And I don't know if you guys know we produced this project. It started 3 years ago out of something we do in the Mobile Rundown, and it's called Do Some Good. So we had this section in the Mobile Rundown where we were always telling people, hey, here's something you can do. Here's a good thing you can do. And then we said, wait a minute, let's find a way to be able to, in the annual basis, be able to tell people about organizations that are in town and what's going on and what they're doing. And so we launched this magazine product out of that idea.
Absolutely. Right? There are so many organizations that are doing so much good in our community. And so it is time to highlight them and what they are doing and find out ways that we as the public can give back to the organization and get involved.
Heck yeah. And so today, who do we have with us today?
We have Pratt Patterson with the Wilmer Hall. Pratt is the executive director, and he is going to be telling us everything about Wilmer Hall and what they do, who they are, and how we can get involved. So we're excited to bring him on.
And let's bring on Pratt right now. Pratt, welcome. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing fine. How are you?
We're doing well.
Absolutely.
Well. Thanks for being with us today. We appreciate your time. So maybe the first thing is just to introduce. So let's imagine that who is listening to this has no idea what Wilmer Hall is, or they've never heard of it. Let's treat that person like that and give us the background of the organization and what it's about.
Sure. Wilmer Hall was founded in 1864 as a home for orphans and widows, founded by Bishop Richard Hooker Wilmer, who is the second Episcopal Bishop of Alabama. And so for those 157 years, what it looks like day to day certainly has changed, but the mission, most simply put, has stayed the same, and that is to take care of young people that are not able to take care of themselves or that don't have anybody to take care of them.
Gotcha.
What that looks like mostly now in 2021 is young adults kind of in the transitional phase. And then many of those are young women. I say transitional phase, maybe 18 to 22. And many of those are young women who are here with their babies and small children. We also started about 12 years ago an after-school tutoring program where college students from South Alabama and Spring Hill tutor students from around the community here at Wilmer Hall. We call that Education for Life. And we have a 100% promotion rate in that 12 years. And because we've had such success, we have started community-based tutoring programs in some local middle schools using the same model.
What do you think that's super impressive, 100% success rate? I mean, what do you attribute to that? I mean, is there something being done that's different, do you think, than other models, or what do you
Well, we have 45 students here and 40 tutors, so the nearly 1-to-1 ratio is helpful, of course. Plus, we provide basic things that not everybody has the opportunity to have. That's a healthy snack after school, a safe place to be, computers, textbooks, school supplies, and we put extra emphasis beyond just schoolwork that they're responsible for on reading and math, which are some of the deficits in struggling schools and communities. So those are
And
some
through
of the
that, yeah, I'm assuming that they get to develop relationships with the one-on-one aspect. They're able to develop a relationship, which is something I think that, just intrinsically, it's an intimate thing that they get to grow with the person that they are working with. So
Sure.
I'm sure that has a lot to do with it as well.
It does. It does. I think the tutors being college age, they not only become mentors also, but they're a little more relatable because they're closer in age. Instead of us older people doing it.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear from us. Very cool. Yeah.
And they also work with our. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And those education folks, not the college tutors, but our education staff also work with any of our young adult residents that might be in high school or might be in a 2-year or 4-year college if they need that kind of support, or that need to get their GED.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I was wondering how you get the residents that you get, and you get the ones that you have that are staying on property. Are they coming from previous foster placements or other foster homes, and then just kind of coming into you guys for that transition period, or have they been with you guys?
We get referrals from a number of sources.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall anybody coming from a foster home that I recall.
Okay.
Our focus, we would not consider ourselves a foster home. We're kind of for longer term transformation, I guess I would say. We enable people that have the natural ability to become independent and successful through education, job skills training, life skills training. Typically people that have been homeless or at risk of being homeless, or in a home that was definitely not going to produce a positive outcome in that young person's life. But we get referrals from sometimes the counselors in the high schools. Probably our biggest referral source right now, I think, is the United Way 211 hotline. We're a United Way partner agency. Sometimes it could be churches or word of mouth. But again, we focus on working with people that can become independent and relatively successful. I think it's important for groups to exist that work with people that have histories of violence or low IQs, or that have been adjudicated, or have had substance abuse problems. But that's not what we do. We're working with people that can become independent and relatively successful, like I said, within about 2 years, through life skills training, job skills training, education, vocational training.
Nice.
Absolutely. I think that is one of those things that we actually had someone else on that we had interviewed that is doing something similar, but I found it so incredible that these are the things that a lot of times in the high schools and even in churches and just within parenting, you guys are teaching some life skills that some of these kids wouldn't get anywhere else. Like, these are the things that learning how to go to an interview, learning how to take care of themselves, learning some basic things that you would think maybe would be taught in our high schools on some sort of level, but some of those skills, foundational skills, are just not there. So it's incredible to have an organization that really provides that. And you said it's the Transitional is a 2-year program?
That's the goal, but it's not hard and fast. If someone comes in and needs to get their GED and has never had a job, for example, they might be here longer than 2 years. Or if somebody is a senior in college but can't figure out how to make ends meet to get to graduation, they might be here 9 months. So it really depends on where the person is in their life. But I would say the goal would be within 2 years, if the person's not a student. If somebody is a student, for example, we've got a young man who's a student at Murphy now. If he were going to go to South Alabama, for example, he might be here 5 more years. So if somebody's a student, they're welcome to stay here as long as they are a student. But for people trying to enter the workforce or be in the workforce in a more meaningful way, the goal is 2 years. And that would usually include getting a full-time job with benefits, purchasing a car, obviously car insurance, learning how to file your taxes, cooking classes, personal finance, healthy relationships, really anything that many of us got at home that people that grew up in harder situations did not get.
Those things are just so important. So the people that you have come in, are they on a volunteer basis to be able to teach these things to these students and to these people in that transitional phase? Or you take volunteers from the public to come in and do that, or is that something that you guys have on staff?
We don't. Our staff handles that. We have 8 full-time house mothers and a program director who's a social worker and another social worker and a number of other folks, 3 people on our education staff. And then we have outside counselors, therapists that we work with if people need counseling. So we're pretty well staffed.
And it sounds like a really well-rounded program that you guys have to offer. So I know you guys have been around for 157 years. Is that what you said?
Right.
157 years. And for only about 120 of those or so, I think you have been at the Old Shell location. Is that true?
That's right. We were founded in the Civil War by Bishop Wilmer, and he was concerned about the safety of the place if it had been in Mobile at that time because of Mobile Bay. And he was correct because, of course, the Battle of Mobile Bay happened later that year. And so from 1864 until about 1866, we were in Tuscaloosa. And then starting in 1867, we were in downtown Mobile. And we bought the property where we are now on Old Shell Road in 1914. And based on what I can tell, looking back at records and correspondence, the buildings we're in now were occupied here by about March of 1916. So we've been in this spot about 105 years.
Wow.
And it's a beautiful campus as well. And I'm sure people have seen it and maybe not even know what they are seeing when they are driving by. You've got 4 larger buildings in the front, correct, facing Old Shell. And then
3 original buildings, and 1 is a cottage for young mothers and their children. And 1 is our education center. 1 is their office. And then the 4th is right behind that, and that's where I live with my family. So I'm here 24/7 in case of emergency. And then we have 4 more dorm-style cottages in the back that were built in the 1960s.
Very cool. Very cool. Sounds like you guys have an incredible program. And I know that you do certain events throughout the year. I feel like your famous event is your pancake event.
I mean, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
Yeah. What other events or what other fundraisers do you guys do throughout the year in a typical year? I know we've had, some non-typical time.
So last year, of course, we were not able to have the pancake breakfast. We did have it a few weeks ago. It was drive-through. It was our 14th annual, and we served about 420 breakfasts in the rain. And so it was really a successful fundraiser. We had the Blowhouse Band under a tent that people could listen to as they drove through, and it was a great event. And it was great to be able to welcome the community back to campus now that we've finally turned the corner on the pandemic. And then on June 19th this year, we have the 11th annual Kaiser Marie Memorial Fishing Tournament. And that was created in memory of Kaiser Marie, who was killed here about 12 years ago, which a lot of people may remember. And all the proceeds there benefit Wilmer Hall. You can find more information on that on the website. It's kaisertournament.com. And that'll be at the Mobile Big Game Fishing Club, also with a way station at Dauphin Island. Normally, up until COVID, we had also started our mother-son field day in the fall, and we're not able to have that this past fall, and we haven't decided yet about this fall. We just have to see what happens.
Yeah, we totally understand that. So outside of the fundraisers that you guys held, of course, you are always open to donations and things of that nature from the public. What would you say your greatest need outside of monetary donations? What would you say your greatest need is from the public?
Well, you mentioned monetary donations. That is the greatest need, because our our greatest expense, of course, is our people. We're fully staffed 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. So as you can imagine, that's definitely our greatest expense. But we also need non-perishable food items for our food pantry, baby items like diapers and wipes. A lot of times if a resident or a student, does something good or has a birthday or something like that, we'll give them a gift card as a little thank you or a good job. So we always need gift cards to local restaurants and stores. Bedding, new twin sheet sets, comforters, pillows, anything like that, cleaning supplies.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a long list. I know a lot of organizations are in need, especially after a year of COVID, where they were not able to do the fundraisers that they typically do to help support the programs that they have. So our hope is that our listeners and our watchers, that you will tug on their heartstrings and they will be able to give back to your organization. You guys do so many amazing things and do so much for so many in need in our area. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I gotta say, is there anything that just have a question? Is there anything that that you wish maybe people knew about your organization, or you wish people would ask about the organization that they don't, that maybe you don't get a chance to tell people? If so, what would that be?
So many of us that grew up here many years, just say, "Oh well, that's an orphanage," because it was. And we used to take placements from the Department of Human Resources and things. But over time, that has evolved into working with older young people, for lack of a better description, and then many of whom have babies and young children with them. Plus, as I described, we have our education programs, one of which is on campus, and then 3 more around the community. So I think we just do a lot more than people realize, because they knew we were an orphanage 40 years ago, and they assume that's a pretty basic description, but we just do a lot more than that. And that's expanded to not only people that live here, meaning our education programs, and also in our residential programs, that it's primarily late teen, early 20s trying to gain education or vocational training and enter the workforce.
Got you. And so I guess that would kind of lead to my final thought or question is, how can the public get all this information about you guys? Obviously they can read your write-up in our magazine, but if we were going to send them directly to you, what's the best way for them to find out about all these things that you guys do?
Our website is wilmerhall.org, and it gives a pretty good description of each program. And if there's a group, anybody's particularly interested, or a group from a church or a business or a civic group that wants to come for a tour and an in-person explanation, sometimes groups like to do that, and they can see a cottage, for example, and see our classrooms and our campus. And so we're happy to give a tour, like I said, to a group from a business or a church or a civic group.
Perfect. That's awesome. Well, any final thought from you before we let you go? We know you have a busy day ahead of you. So if any final words?
Sure. Just thanks to everybody in the community for the support the last 157 years. We put a lot of neat stories and updates on our social media. So I'd encourage everybody to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, which is easy to find. And thanks for having me.
Love it.
Thank you for all that you are doing. And tell May we said hello. We know that May Dennis is a huge part of the organization as well. And so you guys continue to do the amazing work that y'all have been doing.
Thank you very much. I will.
All right. Absolutely. Take care.
Thank you.
See ya.
right.
Wonderful.
That was
Yeah.
great.
I'm actually glad. That was a really good question. What is something that you wish that the community would know about your organization?
You hear that? You hear that, guys?
Interview skills.
It's my wife here. She just said I had a good question. We're recording this, right? This is being recorded? Okay,
no, I think it's important because I think sometimes organizations can get, sometimes people have no idea what they do. And then sometimes I think they get lumped into, he said, like, well, most people think we're an orphanage. Yeah. Well, there's so much more to Wilmer Hall that used to be what they were. And now they have transitioned into transitional programs and all kinds of things. It's incredible. I'm trying to ask that question to organizations because I'm going to try to ask that to everyone that we do. The reason is because I wonder if there's something that they have inside. They're like, I wish we would just get asked about this, and maybe they don't. So I'm trying to give that opportunity for organizations to be able to say that. So, guys, thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for listening. We've got more of these coming out. Of course, you can get the magazine from any of the organizations that are in it or a number of local businesses, or you can read the digital version online. If your organization wants to be in it next year, reach out to us, shoot us a line. We try to find, find sponsors, line sponsors up to help. Organizations have helped us fund this project. Super expensive to produce a magazine and print thousands of them and put them around town. But and if you're a company out there and you want to sponsor an organization, we're looking to just keep growing and growing this publication annually because we want to see hundreds of organizations. So we have found out in doing the research for this, there are a lot of organizations that are doing some cool stuff, and we just want to attempt and do our best at being able to tell all those stories of even more and more organizations. So absolutely, that was incredible for Wilmer Hall today. That's a tongue twister. Wilmer Hall. You have to slow down on that one. That might be a personal problem. It might be a personal problem. All right, guys. Thanks so much for being with us, and we'll see you on the next one.